Hello all, it's Anastasia here, and today I'll be working with this gorgeous collection, Autumn Greetings. This is such a stunning collection. I just love the colors and all in it. I'll first take you through the pattern papers just to show you them. Don't they look absolutely gorgeous? So rich colors, beautiful images, and I just had a bit of a trouble what paper to cut into because they look so pretty and you just don't want to cut into all those pretty things. But I managed. Absolutely gorgeous small images, perfect for fussy cutting, and it's just a dream. And kind of like a perfect autumn, really. And this piece is beautiful. Look at all those cutouts. And then you have the solids, which I love, because then I have solids and I don't have to cut into those beautiful patterned images. Now I'll be creating an exploding box card. First you need a cardstock 12 by 12 and you score at 4 and 8 on one side. Then you turn it around and score at the 4 and 8 on the second side. So you'll have squares all over. And you cut these at the end out. And you have this image, and I rounded the edges. That is just optional what you want. And then you have the lid, and that piece measures 7 1/8 by 7 1/8 inch, and then you score 1.5 on each and every end. And then I cut to where that little notch is and to make a little slit so it's easier to make it into a box, but that's optional, just do what you want. Then you have a lid that fits on the actual box itself. And don't throw away those 4 squares we cut out, we use them later on. Now that I have my base done, and it measures 4 by 4 on each and every part, as well as the lid. So I need to figure out what pattern papers I want to use on the inside and the outside. That is the hardest part, I tell you. It's so difficult. Now, when I've actually decided, I cut all those pieces to be 1/4 inch smaller, and then I rounded each corner. Like I said, that's optional. You don't have to round the corners. It's just do what you want. And then I inked the edges with distress ink. I'm using Wild Honey here. And of course you don't have to ink the edges. I just love to. I use any excuse to buy more colors of ink so that I can use them on more things. I'm just a sucker for color. That's just who I am, I guess. And I put ink on each and every piece. On the outside, I chose this beautiful floral piece, and I wanted the outside to be the same pattern all around. And again, that's optional, you do you. And I'm just figuring out how they should turn and all that. Doesn't matter that much really, just flowers, no words, but still, I guess. And yeah, I use adhesive. You can of course use liquid glue, just whatever you prefer. I prefer this. Now the outside is done, it is the inside. And then I just figure out what I want to use where. Now on the inside, I don't want to have the same papers on every flap. So I choose 2 to be the same, and then the other 2 to be a different or contrasting color or whatever. I really love these pumpkins. This pattern paper is, I think, my favorite, but I do say that about all of them. Just beautiful colors, and the images are just absolutely stunning. And then I used one of the solids papers, the green ones, to cover the other 2. Now of course you can use the same pattern paper if you want. I just wanted to go this route. I just love colour and I want lots of it. Now you have the basic things done. I usually leave the middle one to last just to make sure. I don't know, this is just how I work, and I figure out what to do. And then the lid. I decided to use the pumpkins that I use on the inside for both the outside and the inside of the lid. You can of course mix and match. I just like this pattern paper, so I just wanted to use it. Really, that's my excuse. And I picked another pattern paper from the solids pack for the center of the box. I decided to go with a dark color just to make it a bit more contrast, grounding it in a way. Silly as that sounds, but yeah. And then I'm taking this beautiful ephemera pack, and there are so many gorgeous images in here. I mean, beautiful. And I love the quality of the die cuts. They are thick and sturdy, absolutely gorgeous. So because there are so many, I just used one of my bowls just to take put the wordings in one section, smaller bits in one, and then the large images in another. Because I didn't want to use the largest ones because that wouldn't fit on the box. But I wanted to make sure that I had a look at everything, so I would be able to pick what suits my box the best, I guess. But these are absolutely stunning. These are just endless. They just keep going. Love that. Okay, now I finally decided. And I ink all the edges of these beautiful die cuts with the same ink as I used for the patterned papers. It is not necessary again. I just like the look of it. I like the distress vintagey kind of a feel that the ink adds without being too overpowering or anything like that. Now I want to add those images to the green parts. And now I'm using 2 of those leftovers that we had from the box we made. Now these measure 4 by 4. And I'm using my envelope punch board and I'm making it an envelope. So I just put it at the 2-inch mark and then I score at the envelope line and do that for each and every section until I have the outline of an envelope. And this envelope will house then a little note that will be about 2 by 2 inches. And you can of course add little embellishments or whatever you want in those little envelopes. And I just love them for being able to have some messages or greetings or whatnot, and not necessarily be on display as such. I like that part. And I like that I'm not really throwing good cardstock away. I try to be as frugal as I can, even though I know I'm not a frugal scrapper, but I do try. And all I have to do here is just score on the folded lines and then use liquid glue or adhesive of your choice and you have an envelope. And again, I did ink all the edges with that same ink just to make it all fit, I guess, and I like the look of it. Nicely, neatly distressed without much effort. And I'm just using liquid glue here because it's faster. You can of course use whatever glue you want. And I like how quick and simple this is, and you can add so much. You can decorate this envelope or not, just you do you again. And then I have these 2 cutouts. I just cut the 2 by 2 into a white cardstock and rounded the edges, and then that's ready. And then I cut these die cut these circles from glitter cardstock because I wanted something to be behind the die cuts themselves. And I used loads of foam adhesive for the die cuts because I wanted them to be more dimensional. And I like this a bit touch of glitter with those circles without being too overpowering, because the die cuts here will actually cover most of it, but it adds a bit of shine and brightness to the whole box, and I really like that. And then just place them where I think they look good. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I just stick them where I think they will look nice, and that's about it. And now, since the envelopes will house messages or sentiments, I want to make sure that the envelope will not move. So I'm using a very strong double-sided tape to make sure that that doesn't go anywhere. Because you'll be opening and closing the envelope, I want to make sure that everything is stuck and quite secure. And I'll be putting them on the pumpkin patterned paper. It will add a bit of, because you have the envelope, but you have these beautiful colors around it that actually frame those little envelopes. You don't have to be too precise in centering. I'm just centering them ishly. Just if they look all right, that's good enough. I'm not being too precise really, just going by the eye, by eyeballing it really, and hoping. And I have had these in my stash for quite some time. These are Velcro stickers, and these are triangles, and they fit perfectly on that envelope. So I'm very glad I bought loads of them ages ago, because they fit perfectly in this manner. I really like that. But of course you could use anything, any Velcro that you have. You could of course use what are they called? Magnets, yes, tiny magnets, or you could just use sticker, or just whatever you think of. I just really like these Velcros. They're quick, easy, simple, and they keep things shut, which I like for this case. And now I just need to decide what I want to do with those envelopes. I want to decorate them a little bit, not too much. So I'm just figuring out which of these smaller die cuts I can use to decorate the envelope sections. I want something to put on the envelope, and then I want to make a little bit of cluster in each corner just to frame it, I guess. And when I've picked the die cuts that I like, I ink the edges of each and every piece, as I have done with everything thus far. And now it's just the placement that I need to figure out. And I'm using these tiny little acorns, sorry, mispronunciation here, to put on top of the envelope itself. I wanted to add something to it. It's a little bit blah without anything, so I want to make sure that it had something of interest, but not adding too much, just a little touch of it. And of course I'm keeping up with the pumpkin theme because they look so cute. And I'm just making a tiny little cluster in one of the corners on each, so I'll make like an opposite of each envelope. And just play around really. There's no rhyme or reason, I'm just having fun and figuring things out. And now I finished decorating all of the flaps, keeping the middle part till last. No reason for it, I just do. And now I want to finish decorating the lid. And for the sides of the lid, I cut down 2 different pattern papers from the solids pack, and I decorate one color on the outside and another one on the inside. It is not necessary to add pattern paper on the inside, I just do. I think it looks pretty. And these are cut down to 1 1 1/4 of an inch by 3 3/4. And now I'm just using strong double-sided adhesive for the flaps because I really want them to stay put. But you can of course use liquid glue if that's what you prefer. I just trust this better, really. But then again, when you add pattern paper on the inside, you're actually making those closures a bit stronger anyway. And if there's anything that is going outside and I don't like that, I just use my scissors to trim these down. Doesn't take much effort, just a wee bit of a snip. And like this is a straightforward thing, really. And it really helps to have cut those little notches on the little flaps because it helps you position each flap on the right side. And then you have minimal fixing to do later on, really. And for the inside, I just stack those pattern papers like I did on the outside. And now I just want to make sure that everything fits perfectly, nothing is out of proportion. I didn't mess up. Woohoo, I didn't mess up. Good. And that means we get to focus on the centerpiece of the exploding card or box. Now I want to use some of those flowers from Graphic 45. I have quite a generous stash of these. I love this. And I'm just picking the ones with the linen and ivory rose bouquet. And I'm just positioning them where I want them to be. No rhyme or reason, just what looks good. And I'm just going with the flow, really. Now I want to have these flowers in the center, and I will be inking them with the same distress ink that I've used throughout, just to get some bit of color, dimension, and the illusion of life, I guess. I just like adding little bits to paper flowers, whether it being ink or glitter or stickles, glimmer mist, whatnot. That's what I love about paper flowers. You can add so much to them with little effort and just make them look even more pretty. Now I want something to be at the bottom of the cluster. Now there is a large flower in the Ephemera pack, but it's the same color as my background. So I'm using this smaller one and I'm inking the edges of that as well. Now to give the illusion of a larger flower, I just cut it in half and then I just place it on the pattern paper so that it, I guess, comes out as a larger flower underneath the cluster. I just do that to make the illusion that the centerpiece is larger or more dimensional than it actually is. It's a good trick. So if you can't find something that fits, but if you can cut it in half and then cover the blind spot, go for it. I do this all the time. And now I'm just using very strong double-sided tape in the middle, but I'm also using a liquid glue that I trust. You can use whatever glue you have on hand. I just want to make sure that this stays put. Now this glue takes quite a time to dry. So I basically, as you can see me doing right now, I just squish the flowers in. Now, since these are paper flowers, they will of course bounce back. So even though I'm squishing them quite, I wouldn't say hard, but firmly, I guess, they will stay put and I will be able to re-fluff them afterwards. So usually when I'm doing that, I just put them in the spot where I want them to be, squish them, and then I just watch a YouTube video or listen to podcasts or anything in between, so that I'm doing something while waiting. And now I want to add a bit of bling to the whole decoration. And I'm using both the new ones that came out this year from Graphic 45 as well as the matte pearls. I absolutely love these bits. They add so much with a little effort. Love that. I'm just placing them here and there so they look like they're coming from underneath the cluster and spreading out. They just look so pretty. They add so much, but they're so tiny and cute. I'm just adding a little bit of liquid glue to the matte pearls. And the reason for that is I've had this in my drawer for quite some time and I'm not sure if the glue is too old or not, so I just want to be safe, so I add a tiny drop of liquid glue just to make sure that everything will stay put. Because it does depend on your climate, whether it's dry or hot or whatnot. So basically it doesn't harm to be on the safe side, really. And I'm just placing these little pretties here and there. No rhyme or reason really, just what I think looks pretty, and I go from there. And I'm also adding these to each and every one of the flaps because they're pretty, and why not? I do love a hint of bling anywhere. So that's the inside done. And now we need to decorate the lid. We can't leave that plain now, can we? So I'm just going through the die cut selection and figuring out what I want to have on the lid itself, basically the main decoration that everyone will see. And these are so pretty. I had quite a difficult time selecting what to use because I do like that pattern paper as well, so I didn't want to cover too much of it, but still I knew I had to cover stuff. So I decided to go with 2 die cuts and 1 flower. And I also used one of the die cuts with the sentiment on it to be put on the inside, because why not? And as usually, I am inking the edges of each and every die cut with the same distress ink that I've used throughout this project. And now I just have to add lots of foam adhesive to my die cuts because I want them to look really dimensional and popping off the card, I guess. So foam adhesive, liquid glue, strong glue, lots of it. Everything should stay put. And now I'm just adding each and every piece on top of itself and making sure that everything is going to be staying put. Don't want things to fall off. And I've just created a little cluster with 2 die cuts and 1 large flower. And then I stick that to the top lid itself. And as you can see, I have quite a lot of foam adhesive layers, but it looks pretty. And I put that in the center-ish. I'm not too worried about it, just approximately. And here is the die cut with the sentiment that I am putting on the inside of the lid. It's just a nice extra touch. I guess not many people will actually look inside the lid, but I thought it was a nice touch. And because you get so many beautiful die cuts in the package, I thought I should use some of these pretties. And I use foam adhesive for that as well. I do love dimensions on my creations. And foam tape is my best friend in that department. Just making sure that the sentiment and the pattern paper are aligned, so I'm not having upside down pumpkins and the sentiment going the other way. And then I'm using these beautiful little pebbles to decorate on the outside, the same as I did on the inside cluster. Really beautiful little gems. They add a subtle sparkliness without overtaking anything. They just add to it. Absolutely adore these. I might need to get multiple packages. And here I managed to take one of the gems off the sheet and leave the adhesive, so I just use liquid to make sure. And that's the lid done, ready. And the box is finished. Just making sure, does it fit? Yay, it does. So that is the outside of the box, the lid, and when you open it up, boom! Sentiments and spots for messages and greetings, beautiful pictures, and a flower cluster in the middle. I love these kinds of cards. They're so fun to make and a great way to give somebody a present that is a small one, like a ring or earrings or anything like that. It's just a nice way of giving someone their present. So I hope you like this tutorial, and I will have links to everything I used from Graphic 45 down below. So thanks for watching. Bye.